In the small coastal town of Willowbrook, where the sea kissed the shore and the salty breeze carried the scent of adventure, there was an unspoken bond among its residents. The warm glow of street lamps illuminated the cobblestone streets, and laughter floated through open windows on warm summer evenings. Each family had their story, deeply intertwined with the history of the town, from the oldest oak tree in a park to the charming lighthouse perched on the cliffs. Nestled between Mrs. McKinley's bakery, famous for its blueberry muffins, and Mr. Harrison's quaint bookstore, stood a little antique shop called Whimsical Finds. The shop was an eclectic treasure trove, filled with everything from dusty old phonographs to delicate porcelain figurines. At the helm of this enchanting store was Clara Hayes, a kind-hearted soul in her early 40s, with chestnut curls framing her round face and eyes that sparkled like emeralds. Clara had inherited whimsical finds from her grandmother, and she treated every item with reverence, as if those old trinkets held the whispers of memories long gone. Every Saturday morning, she offered complimentary tea and scones, inviting townsfolk to gather, reminisce, and share their stories. Her connection with Willowbrook's residents ran deep. She had helped countless families find cherished heirlooms, each with its own tale of love, loss, and laughter. One sunny afternoon, as a light breeze wafted through the open door of the shop, Clara was busy sorting through a new shipment of antiques. The delicate chime of the bell above the door interrupted the silence, and in walked Timmy Everett, a freckle-faced boy of 10 with a wild tuft of ginger hair. He was a regular visitor, often drawn to the dusty shelves filled with forgotten wonders. "Clara!" Timmy exclaimed, his eyes lighting up as he spotted a glimmering object on the counter. "What's that?" "That, my dear Timmy, is a silver pocket watch." Clara smiled, her heart swelling with affection for the curious boy. "It used to belong to a sailor. Legend has it that the watch can keep time even when the tides change." Timmy's brows knitted together, his imagination spun to life as he envisioned the watch navigating treacherous waters and storms. "Can I hold it?" he asked eagerly. "Of course," Clara replied, handing it over gently. "But remember, with great treasures come great responsibility." As Timmy carefully examined the watch, Clara watched him with warmth. There was something special about the bond, a shared love for stories, for the things that shaped their small town. They had spent countless afternoons talking animatedly about the artifacts in this shop and the history woven into their very existence. "What do you think it's like to be a sailor?" Timmy pondered aloud, his voice softening as he envisioned the vast oceans beyond Willowbrook. "I believe it must be exhilarating," Clara mused, leaning closer. "But it can also be a lonely life away from home and loved ones. Just like a story, it's filled with both challenges and beauty." Timmy nodded thoughtfully, his imagination no longer confined to the pocket watches. He contemplated the sailor's journey, a great adventure that tugged at his heartstrings. Clara, meanwhile, felt an unshakable bond with this imaginative boy, as though their souls connected through a shared understanding of longing and dreams. "Clara, do you think that there are adventures we can't come back from?" Timmy asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Clara's heart ached momentarily. It reminded her of the fragile nature of life. "Sometimes," she said gently, "but remember, every adventure shapes us. We carry a piece of it within us, and we find our way back home in ways we never expect." Just then, the door swung open again, and in walked a young woman with auburn hair cascading over her shoulders. Her name was Lily Mercer, a classmate of Timmy and a town favorite, with her infectious smile and laughter that seemed to dance in the air. Clara adored the bond the two children shared, a simplicity filled with genuine curiosity and kindness. "Hey, Timmy," Lily greeted, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Did you find a treasure? Look!" Timmy exclaimed, holding out the pocket watch with pride. "Clara was just telling me about it." Lily let out a delighted gasp. "That's amazing. Can you imagine all the places it's seen?" As they chatted and laughed, Clara felt a warmth permeate the room. These children held the spirit of Willowbrook, the innate ability to find joy in the simplest things, to embrace possibilities without boundaries. Clara often wondered what fate had in store for them. But hidden beneath the happiness that enveloped her heart lay shadows of her past, a darkness she had carefully tucked away. It was the loss of her beloved husband, Ethan, to a tragic accident just a year ago. The waves of grief hit her in whispers that occasionally broke the surface, and she found solace in the simple moments shared with her beloved community. Without warning, there came a knock at the door. Clara's heart skipped a beat. It was unusual for someone to visit at this time. Her curiosity piqued, she wiped her hands on her apron and moved toward the door. As she opened it, a cold gust of wind blew into the shop, carrying a sense of unease that wrapped around her heart. Standing on the threshold was a tall figure clad in a dark coat. The man had sharp features, with eyes that glinted like obsidian. For a moment, Clara felt a chill run down her spine. "May I help you?" she asked, although an unsettling feeling had begun to settle in her chest. "I'm looking for Clara Hayes," he said, his voice smooth yet disconcerting. "I'm Clara," she replied cautiously, unsure of what to expect. The man stepped forward, a shadow stretching across the threshold as he revealed a worn picture chart at the edges, but unmistakable. Clara's breath hitched in her throat as recognition dawned upon her. It was a photograph of her husband, a snapshot of happier times, their embrace amidst the sunlit fields near the coast, oblivious to the encroaching darkness that lurked in life. "I know what happened to him," the man declared, his gaze piercing through her. "They brought her back from the dead, now she's out for revenge." Timmy and Lily, sensing the sudden tension in the air, exchanged worried glances. Clara felt a protective instinct swell within her, feelings she had buried in the safety of her warm little shop now rising to the surface, fueled by anger and uncertainty. "Who are you?" Clara demanded, her voice steady even as her heart raced. The enigmatic man didn't respond immediately. Instead, he stepped into the shop holding the photograph with trembling hands. "You don't understand," he said, his voice a whisper. "There is still time, Clara. There are things at play that you're not aware of greater than you can imagine." As he spoke, the sunlight streaming through the shop windows seemed to dim, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Clara felt the weight of his presence, but within her, a fire ignited, a flicker of determination ignited by grief, anger, and an unyielding love for Ethan. Clara took a deep breath and stepped back, holding the pocket watch tightly in her hands, searching for the strength she thought she had lost. This man had resurrected their darkest memories and floated them before her, but with it came a palpable sense of purpose. Perhaps it was time for answers or revenge. With hope and uncertainty tangled tightly in her chest, Clara gazed at Timmy and Lily, who stood united beside her, each child a beacon of light against the shadows creeping into the world. "Why don't you tell me everything?" Clara said, her voice as warm as the summer breezes that normally filled the shop. Little did she know, a series of events had been set into motion that would change Willowbrook forever. A world of secrets, long-hidden truths, and the powers that intertwine life and death awaited them. Beyond the quaint walls of whimsical finds, a journey Clara never anticipated. As they gathered around the table, shadows loomed large, but the laughter of children and the resilience of love filled the air, hinting at the adventure yet unwoven, a quilt of grief and bonds that needed time, hope, and perhaps forgiveness to draw it together. The dimming light inside whimsical finds mirrored the growing tension in Clara's heart as the stranger stood before her. The dark, sharp angles of his features contrasted with the gentle world she had cultivated within her shop, the space brimming with laughter and memories. She could feel Timmy and Lily's innocent curiosity pressing against her back, an unspoken support that reminded her she wasn't alone. "Let's not fear shadows, shall we?" Clara finally said, her voice steady as warm honey. "If you know something about my husband, Ethan, I deserve to hear it." The man regarded her with an intensity that made her cringe. "You don't realize how fragile memories can be," he began slowly, each word dripping with a gravity that pulled at Clara's heart. "Ethan didn't just disappear into the waves. Someone has stirred a rift. There are forces in this town, dark and ancient, that hold sway over what we cherish most. If you push deeper into the past," he paused, the weight of his statement lightened in the air, "the consequences could be dire." Clara took a stealing breath, holding the pocket watch tightly, grounding herself in this unexpected moment. Just as she was about to press the stranger for more, Timmy, ever the catalyst, stepped forward. "Wait, hold on!" Timmy exclaimed, his brows scrunching together in thought. "If there's a way to fix it or help, then we should." Lily nodded vigorously at his side, her eyes shining with determination. The man looked momentarily taken aback by the kid's conviction, and a flicker of admiration crossed his features before he resumed his somber demeanor. "You children, you're brave. But bravery doesn't shield you from the truth. And sometimes the truth is wrapped in pain is part of life," Clara replied, her voice now filled with a newfound strength, the kind that comes from heartbreak but also from a determination to reclaim joy. "But it's also woven with love. If there's something we can do, tell us." He hesitated, as if weighing his options, and a moment of connection blossomed. Clara could almost see the gears turning in his mind. Then the man took a breath, a release, and stepped fully into her world. "The truth is rooted in the lighthouse," he said, gesturing vaguely toward the rocky coastline beyond the shop. "Your husband's spirit is found there, tangled with the sorrows of the sea. If you're willing to confront it, then you could uncover the answers you seek." Lily exchanged a glance with Timmy, and Clara felt a swell of bravery rising within her. The lighthouse had always stood as a silent guardian over the town, a constant presence amidst the changing tides. The idea of confronting whatever lingered there sent a shiver down her spine, but beneath that shiver she sensed a pull, a yearning to embrace whatever shadows lay ahead. "I'll go," Clara declared, surprising even herself with the resolve behind her words. "But I won't go alone." She turned toward Timmy and Lily, who looked up at her with admiration and excitement. We'll go together. The nun surveyed the trio, a ghost of a smile appearing briefly. Very well. But remember, if you cross into the past, it can't be undone. Keep that in mind. The shadows between them thickened, and Clara felt a chill wash over her. Yet in the warmth radiating from her two young companions, there was an ember of hope, one that seemed to flash ever so brightly with the promise of love and friendship. The decision made, Clara shooed the tension from her mind and focused on the immediate. Where do we start? She asked. The man offered her a measured glance, the dips of his eyes revealing unspoken stories. Meet me at the lighthouse at dusk. But before you go, you should gather your strength. Reach out to the community, collect memories, it will help you. Fortify your bond with Ethan. With those parting words, he stepped back into the cool air, his figure slowly becoming a silhouette against the deepening twilight. Timmy and Lily exchanged glances of bubbling excitement, a sense of adventure blooming between them. Clara felt the warmth, though. Camaraderie spread, a resistance against the shadows threatening to overtake her. As they began to gather supplies for their unexpected journey into the past, Clara felt a gentle wave of nostalgia crash over her. She rummaged through her grandmother's old trunk tucked away in the corner of the shop, uncovering treasures from yesteryears, photographs, letters, and keepsakes of memories. Among the cherished items, she discovered an old letter addressed to her grandmother, hidden beneath folds of yellowed fabric. Reading the familiar spidery script ignited something deep within her. That letter spoke of the lighthouse's history, tales woven into the fabric of Willowbrook, of storms that had sealed friendships and love stories, and of how the light had always guided lost souls home. There were whispers of a vessel that had gone missing decades before, a thread that connected her lost memories back to the lighthouse itself. Clara, look! Timmy's excited voice broke her reverie. She turned to see him holding a small compass, its brass surface gleaming in the fading light. I found this. It reminds me of that sailor's poem you love. Would it help? Tears prickled at the corners of Clara's eyes. In that moment, the weight of shared history stirred her heart into action. Yes, she exclaimed, embracing Timmy tightly. It'll help guide us, just like love guides us home. Bring one of my blueberry muffins, Clara. Lily chimed in, her voice bright and bold, excitement bubbling within her. We can't fight dark shadows on an empty stomach. The laughter of the children echoed through the shop, and Clara felt lightness return to her heart, a sensation she hadn't experienced in months. It was profound and beautiful, a reminder that even amidst uncertainty and grief, there was room for joy if one were willing to embrace it. Soon, with a small backpack in tow filled with memories and a shared hope for the journey ahead, Clara led the kids down the cobblestone streets of Willowbrook toward the lighthouse. The salty air whipped playfully at their hair, wrapping around them like a warm embrace. The faint scent of lavender wafted through the air, a gift from the wildflowers that adorned the path to the cliffs. As they approached the lighthouse, the wind ebbed and flowed, almost as if it were trying to direct them. Clara turned to look at the children, both laughing and skipping ahead, their spirits buoyant with the promise of possibility. If love could exist in fleeting moments of warmth, then surely it could conquer the tremors of fear and doubt that lingered beneath the surface. Do you think we'll find something different about the lighthouse today? Timmy asked, looking up at Clara with wide-eyed innocence. I think we'll find whatever memories are meant to be uncovered, Clara replied softly. Just remember, holidays and journeys don't always have a single narrative. Sometimes they weave in and out like tides. As they reached the weathered stones of the lighthouse, Clara felt the air shift around them, a thickening, and knowing that enveloped them in a cocoon of energy. The lighthouse, looming tall against the evening sky, looked both inviting and formidable. We're ready, Clara whispered, squeezing Timmy and Lily's hands. Together we can face whatever awaits us. As they stepped inside the cool shadow of the lighthouse, Clara's heartbeat quickened, and unexpected flushes, memories, and shadows rustled in the corners like hidden secrets waiting to unfurl. The staircase spiraled upward, dimly lit and winding, the wooden steps creaking beneath their weight as they ascended to the lantern room. At the top, Clara paused, a sense of wonder washing over her. It's beautiful, she breathed, gazing out through the tall windows at the expanse of the ocean, the waves cascading effortlessly against the rocks below. The moonlight glimmered upon the surface, casting a silver sheen over the night. Lily ran to the windows, pressing her palms against the cool glass. It feels magical up here, she whispered. Like anything could happen. Timmy reached the landing, and his gaze wandered anywhere and everywhere. What do you think happened here, Clara? Do you think the lighthouse holds secrets? Clara felt the air thicken, the weight of their questions pressing upon her. I think this lighthouse holds every story it ever guided home, she said gently, swallowing hard as the memories wafted closer, tickling her senses. But we're here to uncover something specific, something about Ethan. She took a moment, letting the silence envelop them, and closed her eyes. She could almost hear Ethan's laughter mix with the whispers of the ocean, as if his essence filled the spaces around them. He loved this place, she murmured. this was where we forged our bond. A lighthouse always shining in the dark. As they stood together, Clara felt the warmth of Lily's small hand slip into her own, the comfort emanating from Timmy's sparkling eyes. The unity between them felt like a tether to the past, a connection to those she had lost, and a beacon of hope for the journey ahead. Suddenly, out of the corner of her eye, Clara caught a flicker of movement. The shadows in the corners of the room seemed to swirl and gather, as if conjured by their collective yearnings. She blinked, and her heart rate quickened. A silhouette began to materialize, flickering like candlelight. "Clara," the figure whispered, the voice echoing like a faint breeze. Clara's breath caught in her throat, and she could scarcely believe what she was seeing. "Ethan," she choked out, disbelief laced with longing. As the shadow grew clearer, she felt an otherworldly presence envelop her, draping her in memories not yet forgotten. Timmy and Lily stood frozen beside her, their expressions a mix of awe and wonder, and Clara's heart surged with the potential of connection, of redemption. "Clara," it whispered again, trembling with the essence of love. "There is so much I wish I could share with you." And in that sacred moment of anticipation, Clara felt everything she had ever known converge upon her, the grief, love, and the very fabric of her life interwoven like stitches in a quilt. A story waiting to unfold once more, one that promised healing amid the shadows. But just as the figure threatened to coalesce into the warmth she longed for, the air grew chilled, and the moment fractured. The shadows retreated, leaving behind only echoes. Silence blanketed the room, leaving Clara breathless. "Where did he go?" Lily gasped, glancing at Timmy, who still held Clara's hand tightly, grounding her amidst the swirling emotions. "I don't know," Clara whispered, her heart pounding. The hope had flared brightly, only to fade like wisps of smoke, but we must find him. We have to piece together the bits of his thoughts, memories, and what is left unresolved. With renewed determination, she looked beyond the windows, the dark ocean waves crashing defiantly against the rocks below. "We are stronger together to honor what was and what can still be. I won't stop until we uncover the truth." Her words lingered in the air. The real journey was only just beginning. Together, they would have to weave through the tapestry of the past a blend of courage, love, and the depths of an unbreakable bond, filled with laughter and joy that would help light their way back home. As Clara and the children stood there, the realization washed over them. This expedition extended far beyond the lighthouse. It would reverberate throughout the community as well, intertwining their stories. The essence of connections forged through love would ebb and flow, guiding them home. Dusk began to deepen around them, and in the embrace of gathering shadows, Clara felt the stirrings of hope as they prepared for the path ahead, a path where everything they cherished could emerge from the depths of the unknown, woven together in a tale that yearns to be told. The air around Clara, Timmy, and Lily pulsed with a quiet intensity as they stood atop the lighthouse, their hearts racing from the fleeting encounter with Ethan's spirit. The vast ocean sprawled before them, dark waves crashing against the rocky cliffs below, underscoring the gravity of the moment. Clara could feel the remnants of his presence still tingling in the corners of her mind, a reminder that love, once shared, could never truly fade, no matter the barriers of time and space. "Clara, what do we do now?" Timmy asked, his voice breaking the spell of silence that had enveloped them. His freckled face was a mask of both fear and determination, the flicker of hope in his wide eyes shining like a lighthouse beacon in the night. "We gather our courage," Clara replied, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We search for the answers that Ethan might have left behind. Because I believe he wants us to find him, to help him cross over, to find the peace he deserves. And we'll be with you every step of the way." Lily chimed in, her spirit undeterred. "Just like in those stories we love, where friends embark on adventures to uncover secrets and save the day." Clara's heart swelled with gratitude for the unwavering support of these children. Their innocence and hope reminded her that even in the face of uncertainty, the light of love could guide them forward. "Let's start by retracing our steps and exploring the lighthouse itself. There must be more clues hidden within its walls." Hand in hand, they stepped into the dimly lit corridors of the lighthouse, letting the flickering lanterns illuminate their path. Clara's pulse quickened as they ascended the staircase again, reminding her of the many shared moments she'd had with Ethan, the laughter and love that had filled the air on their own adventures. She could almost feel him walking beside her. As they reached the small lookout room, Clara's gaze swept over the trinkets and artifacts lining the shelves, little ships and bottles, nautical mats, and old lanterns that had guided sailors home. But one item, tucked into a corner and half hidden by an dust, caught her attention: a weathered journal, its leather cover cracked and worn. "Look here!" Clara exclaimed, rushing forward to kneel at the shore of the wooden table where the journal lay. Timmy and Lily peered over her shoulder, their curiosity piqued by the discovery. "Can we open it?" Lily asked eagerly. "Only if you promise to take care of it," Clara whispered, a note of reverence in her voice. She gently slid her fingers over the spine, feeling the weight of history within its pages. Each word was a heartbeat, the intimate thoughts of a soul that had once learned to navigate the storms of life. Timmy nodded, and Clara carefully opened the journal. The faint smell of old paper enveloped them as she began to scan the handwritten notes inside. Flowing elegance and slanted letters danced across the yellowed pages, revealing snippets of Ethan's dreams, discourses on the beauty of the ocean, musings about life in Willowbrook, and hopes for the future. As Clara's eyes skimmed over a passage, a lump formed in her throat. He wrote about his love for the sea, she murmured, the words tumbling forth. He believed it was a living entity, a place of solace and connection. What else does it say? Timmy's voice was barely a whisper, sensing the fragility of this moment. With every page turned, they bore witness to the love Ethan had carried within him for Clara, a testament to their shared life. Each memory breathed new life into Clara's heart, stitching her painful separation from him into a tapestry woven with hope and affection. As she read through the pages, a certain passage made her gasp. Sometimes, love can build bridges where none seem to exist, a bridge to the beyond. If I should ever find myself lost, I will return to the lighthouse and wait for the tide to carry me home. Tears slipped down Clara's cheeks, warm and freeing. This was it. Ethan was waiting for her, anchoring his spirit near the lighthouse, where their love story had blossomed. It dawned on her that his spirit could be intertwined with the stories of their community, of those who held memories of him close. We need to gather everyone from Willowbrook, she declared, her voice steady with newfound resolve. Ethan's light and laughter touched so many lives here. If they share their stories, we might just find a way to release them. Timmy and Lily nodded, their eyes bright with excitement pivoting into determination. Let's do it. We can spread the word. We will invite everyone to share their stories of Mr. Ethan. Timmy's enthusiasm felt contagious. They hurried back down the lighthouse, the thrill of their purpose making them lighter on their feet. As they entered the cobblestone streets of Willowbrook, Clara's heart raced at the thought of all the town's cherished residents gathering together, friends, neighbors, the baker, and even the bookstore owner. Their stories, dipped in fondness, would weave a net of love as wide as the ocean that surrounded them, capturing Ethan's essence and reuniting it with Clara's heart. Through the warmth of the community, she believed they could aid Ethan on this journey home. As houses, illuminated with warm lights, cradled them, Clara didn't hesitate to approach Mrs. McKinley's bakery first. The sweet aroma of fresh blueberry muffins wafted through the door and danced into her senses, flooding her with nostalgia for the cozy afternoon spent chatting with kindred spirits. Mrs. McKinley, Clara called as she entered, her voice filled with urgency. We need your help. The baker popped her head from behind the counter, flour dusting her cheeks like soft kisses from the past. Clara, my dear girl, what is it? There has been a change to the lighthouse, Ethan. It's as if his spirit is waiting for us to reconnect. We need to gather everyone in town to share their stories. Will you help me organize it? Clara spoke hastily but earnestly, pouring her heart into each word, willing her emotions to fuel their mission. Mrs. McKinley's eyes widened with concern and understanding. Of course, dear. We can host it in the park. Let me start baking more muffins for the gathering. Only then. Freshest dough for such an occasion. She clapped her hands together, determination sparkling in her gaze. Lily grinned, clutching her friend's hand, and we'll help with inviting everyone. It'll be the biggest party Willowbrook has ever seen. That's the spirit, my little adventurers. Clara said, her hope bubbling over as they rushed out of the bakery and began canvassing the town. With every home they visited, they could feel the excitement growing, with everyone offering stories, laughter, and warmth in their hearts. As the sun dipped below the horizon, bathing the streets in a copper glow, the trio moved on to the bookstore. Mr. Harrison, the slightly quirky yet beloved owner, was tucked behind a tower of books when they arrived. Clara, Timmy, Lily, to what do I owe the pleasure? He inquired, adjusting his glasses perched low on the bridge of his nose. Mr. Harrison. Clara started, her heart racing. We need your stories. We're hosting a gathering at the park to reconnect with Ethan. Please come. Your words mean so much to this town. The excitement in his eyes sparkled like starlight. Ethan was a man of the sea and stories. Of course. I have plenty of fond tales to share. Wait here. I just found an old book on maritime legends. I can dig through it for a few minutes. Timmy and Lily giggled, energy saturating the air as they moved on to invite the florist, who was quick to join them, eager to brighten the gathering with vibrant bouquets and blooms. From household to household, they ventured through the heart of Willowbrook, spreading the word. Their joy became infectious. Laughter spiraled in light, and hearts expanded with each tale shared. Neighbors gathered eagerly as Clara presented her plans, with kindness knitting their community closer together. That evening, as Clara made her way home, her heart felt full, as if it could no longer contain the love that swirled around her. She could almost hear the whispers of the townsfolk, neighbors, children, and friends all lifting stories into the air like lanterns, casting light into the darkness and connecting their hearts to one another. The next day, as the sun rose above the horizon, painting the edges of the sky in vibrant hues, Clara and the children set up for the gathering. The park transformed into a realm of warmth and camaraderie. Tables adorned with flowers from the florist and stacks of blueberry muffins greeted every visitor, with the sweet aroma encircling them like a welcoming hug. As the light flickered over the crowd gathered, Clara stood before her neighbors, holding the journal close to her heart. Today, we celebrate not only the love we shared with Ethan, but also the impact he had on all of us, she began, her voice projecting warmth through the air. Each of you holds your own piece of his story, tightly woven into the tapestry of this town. Let us share our favorite memories, our laughter, our journeys. In storytelling, we will help guide his spirit home. A ripple of understanding and kindness glimmered through the crowd as neighbors nodded and shared encouraging glances. A gentle hush fell over them, the weight of love binding them together. The first to speak was Miss S. McKinley, her voice rich and tender. Ethan used to come to my bakery every Saturday morning. He said my blueberry muffins were the finest in the world. I think he'd just like to bring a smile to my face. Laughter erupted, and the warmth of shared recollection kindled a spark in Clara's chest. As stories poured forth, Mr. Harrison recounting how Ethan had once rescued a kitten from a tree during a storm, the florists sharing tales of their shared love for rare flowers. The park blossomed with an energy that echoed through the very roots of Willowbrook. Demi and Lily, inspired by the stories of adults, excitedly tiptoed, sharing their own reminiscences, spinning tales of Ethan's unending kindness and generosity toward the younger generation. His laughter seemed to dance in the air around them, drawing smiles from all. As Clara listened to each story, she realized they were stitching a mosaic of memories, Ethan's laughter bridging the gap between love and loss. Every heartfelt word became a thread, connecting each community member to one another and resonating with the essence of Ethan's spirit. With every story shared, Clara felt the shadows lifting from her heart. Each recollection wove new light into her memories, a gentle luminescence that restored what had been fractured. Their collective desire to celebrate Ethan's life breathed new life into Clara. She looked around at the faces bathed in warmth and kind eyes reflecting hope, and she felt a shift. The sun dipped slowly into the horizon, casting a golden hue over the laughter and joy enveloping the park. With her heart full, Clara stepped forward to speak again, her voice calm but filled with emotion. Let us take this moment to remember that love endures, and sometimes it is through kindness, laughter, and stories that we can help our beloved find peace. Tension, intertwined with sadness, swelled within her as she shared one last heartfelt story, the memory of a picnic by the sea, gathering all the past into beautiful unity that would carry Ethan's spirit home. As she spoke, she felt Ethan's presence, loose and light, seemingly resonant and grateful. Then, that magical moment, Clara felt a soft breeze sweep through the park, uplifting their hearts like feathers in the wind. Gasps of wonder rippled through the crowd, eyes turning upwards as if sensing something profound, a connection forging between them and the unseen, a convergence of love and longing. Clara closed her eyes, letting tears stream down her cheeks, a fragile release of everything she carried within her. She could feel Ethan's spirit dancing among the laughter, embracing the sacred space they had all shared together. With every aura of love mingling in the twilight, Clara discovered that they had indeed illuminated a path for his return. And in that moment, Clara knew deep in her heart that love could cross any chasm, transcending the boundary between life and the beyond. As the evening deepened, townsfolk began to light candles in honor of their shared experiences, illuminating the park with soft, flickering flames that twinkled in the night sky. Clara smiled through the tears as she grasped the pocket watch, the symbol of time and memories, intertwined into their hearts like the very threads of life itself. Through shared acts of kindness, they had woven a bridge between lost moments and the warmth of community. Clara understood now that each flicker of light reflected Ethan's spirit returning, finding its way through the laughter and the tears, glowing brightly in the hearts of all who had gathered. It was more than a farewell, it was a celebration of undying love that would guide him back home. As the last story unfolded beneath the sprawling branches of old oak trees, Clara felt an overwhelming sense of renewal, the kind only born from embracing the past. She would cherish the stories that had filled their gathering. They were links in a chain of connection, binding people together beyond space and time. Little by little, the laughter began to settle into a gentle calmness. People began to pack up their candles and clear the remnants of the picnic, each heart humming with gratitude and love. Clara hadn't just brought closure for herself, but a sense of unity for all the townspeople, reminded that every thread of their lives was part of an intricate tapestry, one woven with compassion, growth, and heartfelt connections. As Clara and her companions prepared to leave the park, the flickering of the candles danced like starlight encircling the gathering beneath the vast, velvety night sky. Clara, Timmy whispered, tugging gently at her sleeve, his voice barely above a breath. Do you think he's finally gone home? She knelt beside him, cupping his small hands in her own. I believe he's finally at peace, Timmy, and he'll forever be part of our stories. Our love for him will ensure he's never forgotten. And we'll keep telling those stories, Lily chimed in, her excitement bubbling anew, every time we remember he comes back with us. Exactly, my little adventures. That's the power of love, Clara smiled, standing with them side by side. Together, they walked the cobblestone streets home, hand in hand, hearts alight with the warmth of a community bound in affection. As the moon rose high above Willowbrook, casting a silver light upon the cottage of whimsical finds, Clara felt a weight lift from her chest. The enigmatic shadows from earlier had dissipated, replaced by luminous memories and a promise that echoing love would light the way for years to come. She entered her shop, where the faint lanterns draped the room in a serene glow, her heart swelling as the stories and laughter continued to weave around her. Clara thought of Ethan, and how their lives had intertwined with so many souls. Each memory, like a stepping stone, had brought her to this moment of growth, not just for herself, but for everyone around her. The laughter of children, the warmth of friendships, and shared tales of love had sculpted her journey into something profound, the kind of story that continued to inspire those she held dear. Each memory held the echoes of life and connection that painted the fabric of their community. Their kindness and resilience, they had reignited the flame of Ethan's spirit, while firmly rooting their bonds in the earth of Willowbrook. They could create a tapestry interwoven with hope, warmth, and laughter, a quilt of memories stretching across generations, guiding them all home. As Clara took a moment to reflect on the day, a soft breeze stirred the pages of the journal, sending a shiver through the air, a final whisper of love that hung long after the laughter faded. And when Clara finally retired to bed, a gentle smile brushed her lips, a promise formed within her heart. The stories would live on, weaving their destinies, illuminating every corner of Willowbrook, one heartfelt memory after another, cherished and everlasting, like the light of a lighthouse leading them home.